What do you think of that? You hear that sports update Matt Pauley gave you? A little cut from Randy Sanders about liking to play on the right. I tell you what, it didn't start well for Randy Sanders at ETSU. It is improving mightily. And a guy who listened to hair bands back in the day can't be all bad. Still want more media access with his team. I mean, that is, but anyway. There you have it. Yeah, if you missed the Randy Sanders interview, by the way, I haven't slugged it yet, but it is on 1420 NBC Sports Radio Tri-Cities Facebook page. Just go to the video section and you'll be able to find it. And with that, who else could this be but Marky Billson, your voice. Fans' name of the program is Tri-Cities Sports Now, and we own the Tri-Cities on 1420 NBC Sports Radio Tri-Cities. Yeah, we'll be talking about ETSU in Jacksonville. We'll also be talking a little bit about ETSU North Dakota State and Tennessee Vanderbilt. And wait, you heard on the top of the hour sports update, prominence in the Big 12 football conference. How about the championship of the NIT tournament, preseason NIT that is, but Tennessee taking on top-ranked, or I guess they're now second-ranked, Kansas, and a victory against the Jayhawks. Could that make Tennessee number one? They were in 2009. Now, today's program, we've got a lot of great guests. Second hour, I'm talking to the man I believe is Tennessee's best sports columnist. That would be Joe Rexrode. Beginning of the season, Joe Rexrode of the Tennessean said that he thought that the Vanderbilt-Tennessee game, he would rather have tickets to that than the Iron Bowl. Said, there'll probably be more to play for. Alabama will have the SEC. Auburn were to beat Alabama somehow. Even if that were to happen. You're really just playing out the string until, possibly Alabama is going to be in the college football playoff. What's at stake here, really? But meanwhile, Tennessee Vanderbilt, all right, going to the Who Cares Bowl, yeah, not that satisfying. But let's think about this. Winner of this game goes 6-6, not great, but it's a step in the right direction. Teams. The loser, it's another losing record. It's more of the same. A to Z Sports Nashville, they're already writing, if Jeremy Pruitt loses this game, that's strike one on his career. That might be does Derek Watson have to win this game to stay on at Vanderbilt? How about this for a scenario? James Franklin goes to Southern California. I think he'll bomb there, if he does go there. Kind of spinning their wheels and all this. Okay, the rape trials will be removed enough. Who even knows who the president will be at that time? And so, in 3 years, James Franklin comes back to Vanderbilt. Or how about this? I do think Tennessee next year will have a winning record. I just don't think their schedule is that good. And I think that their talent will have matured to the point where, kind of like ETSU this year, their football program. When they started the football program up, Carl Torber said, I do not want JUCO players, the right way. And people bought into it. It's the amazing thing. Even when they were getting their brains beaten in 2015, people were buying into ETSU playing freshman Austin Herink against not just Kennesaw State, but Emory and Henry. And then to play, how can I say it? They got smashed the first 3 years. Really, the first 3 years. I mean, there's some people that want to, next year they redeem themselves against Kennesaw State. I get that. It's also an overtime victory, and really one that you got the feeling KSU was sort of like not up for. And then it looked real good, the 2-0 start, the comeback against Western Carolina in 2016 for ETSU, and then, Wofford, don't cross the 50. 34-0 defeat to the old coach. That all of a sudden reality set in then again. This year's team isn't all that strong, but at least it does. And when I say it's not all that strong, I mean they're in the playoffs, winning by the skin of their teeth. I had people tell me, this is like the weakest 8-victory team we've ever seen in our life. I mean, end of the third quarter, they're tied with Mars Hill. Come on now. It does speak of a declining Southern Conference. In football, at least. Basketball, it's real good. I want to discuss, you get the idea. The Dylan Weigels, the Austin Herrings, the Matt Pikes, they all came together this year. And the J.J. Germans, if you will, they all came together, and that was enough to lead ETSU into the playoffs and eke out those 8 victories against whoever. You get the feeling the same thing might happen with Tennessee next year. Schedule isn't all that daunting. It's not West Virginia and Charlotte. It's not Auburn, Mississippi State, although they looked real good last night, didn't they? At home, without Nick Fitzgerald. It's South Carolina at home, without their outstanding wide receiver, Swinney. It's Debo Swinney, yeah. It's Vanderbilt at home without Kyle Shermer. Vanderbilt is now a game that Tennessee has to worry about. That wasn't the case before. Anyway, we'll talk to Joe Rexer. 12:30, I'm going to talk to Steve Forbes, ETSU head men's basketball coach. Bucks have a game up with North Dakota State, and that's a nice, that's a game they ought to win, go 5-2, and then the schedule gets kind of tough. Georgia Southern is having a very nice year. December schedule could differ season this year. There's Wyoming. There's Illinois. There's also Wofford and Furman. As well as the Cupcake on December 3rd. I've even forgotten who the... I would much rather play Marshall, or not, rather play someone like Tusculum, like Milligan, King, Mars Hill, if you will. There, that rhymed, hey, But a local team, I'd rather have that. Might be looking at the all-time victory total here. But we'll talk to Steve Forbes. Why are the Bucks so streaky? And by the way, the SoCon is ranked very high in these new NET ratings. All right, so some intriguing things here to discuss on Tri-City Sports Now. Do want to talk a little bit more about ETSU right now. Now, you listen to Colin Coward after the program, after Tri-City Sports. You do that, you listen to Colin Coward. A little bit more NBA talk than I like. I mean, I'm not the biggest NBA fan in the world. That was a big thing on the, the media and Sarah Silverman and all that. Thanksgiving is bad. I get that old, you get that meme on social media with Abe Simpson, today is bad and all that. So that anyone who wants to keep a tradition but now you have Thanksgiving is bad. Now, if that's not a today is bad, I don't know what is, regardless. But a few days ago, Colin Coward, he was talking about the LA Rams. And he said that they are now stratosphere. If you in Johnson City, Tennessee, or Greenville, Tennessee, you get the idea here, really care about the sports hierarchy of Los Angeles. But nevertheless, the Rams had moved past the Southern California Trojans, in his opinion. And by the way, I was calling that as soon as the NFL returned to Los Angeles. I thought that there was no school in all of the country that was better equipped to call shall I say, NFL Prep 101 than Southern California. You were going to get major market attention. You were going to get all the attention of being a football program. I mean, you were going to get NFL attention if you went to Southern California because they didn't have a pro team in a major market, but you also were going to have just a very professionally run. You had Pete Carroll, a former pro coach. If you ever looked at the notes that Southern California even brought out, they were NFL caliber notes. I mean, press, the whole thing. They played in, the Coliseum, this was a team that was run like an NFL team. Reggie Bush is dating Kim Kardashian. The players were dealing with, famous stars and all that. It was like shall we say it was like the Predators? I mean, with Carrie Underwood or Lindsey Vonn dating, Mike Fisher or PK Subban. I mean, can you say that? But that was the environment of Southern California football. You're not going to have that now with a pro team in town. You may still have great notes and all that, but the attention just isn't going to be there because there are 2 NFL teams to cover now. And I thought that would hurt Southern California football. I really did. But so the Rams are, I said it. Anyway, it got me thinking, though, about the Tri-Cities market and ETSU. Because I think the Buccaneers are to this market maybe what the Rams are to Los Angeles in terms of getting attention that they didn't have before. I mean, once upon a time, it seemed like ETSU really didn't count for here on Tri-City Sports Now about the mini talk about wanting to have the state football championships at the Mini Dome now. I'm talking for the TSSAA, and the idea there would be that, to be played indoors. And if you just punch out a couple of holes in the side of, I think it's the north side of the stadium, then it becomes fire marshal compliant. Why they never did that before is just a total waste of money. Putting millions into Freedom Hall, putting millions, it's a waste, and I can say that, the football team needed, people get rained on for 4 hours, and, regardless, what you had is that there is now talk about ETSU maybe using the Mini Dome once again, in not so much playing games there, but in these other procedures. They're real excited. They say, we're going to be the only FCS. That is, I should say, I think some of the Idaho stadiums for indoor practices, but solely reserved for, indoor practice. It'll be the Mini Dome. And that's, exciting and all that. Don't get me wrong here. But I can recall a time, if you do punch out 14,000. That's how many people watched the NBA exhibition game there in 1994. And yet, I remember one time Mike Poe, when he was coaching at Science Hill, and they spoke of, could the state championships for basketball ever be held in Johnson City or in the Tri-Cities? No, we don't have the facility that would hold enough fans. You have a facility there exceeding capacity. It's proven that it can hold 14,000. They did for the NBA in 1994. That is how off the radar ETSU was a generation ago. They brought in Michigan State. They drew 5,000 fans. They had a loser's reputation, and it seemed like their best days were behind them. And then when the football program was dropped 15 years ago, it sent a message of Atlantic Sun Conference. Better, and Bucks fans thought things were never worse. Even if they won in the A-Sun, it was, we're winning, a remedial conference. We're winning Candyland. We're not winning a game of chess. But even before then, even back, TSU fell behind, let's say, high school basketball. But certainly the fan base of the Tri-City. I do know that, playing at Freedom Hall for ETSU basketball, that's in the shadow of Science Hill High School. And if you are a veteran ETSU fan, that does bring back memory just by being on the campus of the days when, ETSU games on the radio, and this was before you had internet broadcasting. I know, boys and girls, yes, it was a long time ago, and we had to walk up, but there was a time where the games on the radio were preempted, or if you wanted to listen to the game, you could not listen to it live. High school broadcasts. There was a time when fans clamored for George Pitts to be the head coach at ETSU, even though high school coaches generally fail when promoted directly to a Division I college head coaching position. And all you would get from local media was, oh, they should promote George Pitts. No one, except for me, would ever talk about, what about Bob? No one would ever look at what John Thompson went from high school to coaching at Georgetown. But remember, John Thompson also had all those years with the Celtics. Remember also that was 1972. And remember, Georgetown in 1972 was not the entity that they are even today. This was before the Big East Conference. This was before the Atlantic 8. Regardless, fans actually believed around 1994 that Science Hill could beat ETSU. That was talk show. It didn't matter that ETSU was only a couple of years off an NCAA tournament berth, 3 years off a national ranking. I mean, you look back at that and you say, how could... You wonder why I say, this area isn't a good sports town. Yeah, when they were that dumb. But winning changes a lot, doesn't it? Finally appears ETSU is getting one athletic program. Could not schedule a home game last week of the year. Last week of December, do not schedule an ETSU basketball home game. That's for the high school basketball tournaments. This year, ETSU is going to play Villanova at Freedom Hall December 29th. Meanwhile, although I am skeptical about the announced football attendance at ETSU games, it's a sellout. Wait, this section has 75 people in it. I counted it. The berm is vacant. Come on. But still, you had announced figures that are roughly about 2,500 fans more than what ETSU did during their mini-dome days. But it just seems, you can be skeptical of the attendance count, it just seems that the ETSU Buccaneers count more. And the exciting thing about this is that unlike a high school grow, and the community can grow with it. Look, a high school program can win more, but interest is always going to be limited to the town in which it plays in. If it moves up in class, it's likely because the city that they play in or the school district is increasing population through. Now, a college program wins, they're going to have apply. It's proven. I've even shown how it's worked at ETSU this way. When ETSU dropped football the next year, 12% decline in freshman applications. It had a loser's rep. Now they've got more applications than ever. They're winning. Really, it means a lot. A college program can put a town on the map. You'd never have heard of Starkville without Mississippi State. It can play for championships the nation cares about. It can move up the D1 ladder to additional prominence, and that means more people coming in to have you, and it means more amenities. Arena was built in the area, that'd help everybody out. You get concerts, you get a modern facility that could make ETSU nationally ranked again, you get more opportunities, more seats for fans to go to games, your larger attendance, you get possibly, and I hope, minor pro sports coming to town. Remember this. All right, Freedom Hall is not ideal, but it's a reminder that ETSU can fill the place up with large crowds for the basketball team. Science Hill, which really was the entity that the venue in so many ways was built for, they never could fill that place up. Think about that. So ETSU, yeah, they've gone past high school in the area. They always should have been, but they have now officially in the area's sports landscape and mindset. I'll talk to their basketball coach, bottom of the hour, Tri-City Sports Now.